plaque outside the Durban Post Office commemorating a speech given by former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill when he was a war correspondent in Durban has gone missing. Now, the commemorative plaque was a remembrance of Churchill's speech on the steps of the Durban Town Hall, which later became the Post Office in 1899. The speech followed the 25-year-old infamous escape during the Second South African War. To speak to us about this and the significance behind the plaque, I'm joined by the owner of Durban Walking Tours, Alison Chadwick. Alison, very good morning to you. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Let's talk about when you noticed that this plaque had gone missing.
Good morning. I do walking tours in the city, and because of COVID, I haven't been back into the city for a year. And last week I went, had some business to do in the city, and I just did a walk around, just checking on all the places that I would normally visit on my city tour. And I went to look for the Winston Churchill plaque, and I was horrified to see that it's actually missing now. The bottom part is still there with the inscription, but the beautiful mural has disappeared, and I can't say when. It's probably in the last 6 months it's gone missing. So I don't think anybody has reported it.
This beautiful mural that you talk about, what significance does it serve, when it comes to the remarks made by Churchill at the time?
For me, what I loved about the mural was, Winston Churchill was well known for his bulldog, and it's cleverly done, the mural by Mary Steenbank, and she's added in the bulldog, obviously at the age of 25 when he was captured in South Africa. He didn't have a bulldog at that stage, so it was just something quirky that I thought was quite fun. Mary Steenbank's a wonderful artist. She's done some beautiful murals all around our city, so I am also very interested in her artwork as well.
When it comes to perhaps the bigger significance and the relevance of that plaque in 2021, also considering the various movements that have taken place throughout the years, when it comes to perhaps one may be critical and say that the Churchill, plaque is an embodiment, a perfect embodiment of white supremacy. What would you say to somebody who would have that comment?
I just think Winston Churchill is one of the most famous British prime ministers. During World War II, he led that country. For me, that is the part that I enjoy. I love history. I love World War II history, in fact, especially World War II history in Durban. And he did win the Nobel Peace Prize for literature as well. So I think for me, it's more about that than the political side.
Do you think that in this year that that plaque is still relevant, and how would you think it resonates with those who suffered greatly under the apartheid era?
It's history, whether it's good or bad history. I often have these discussions, and I think the British were very, they set out Durban for us, and they were instrumental on setting out Durban, and so it's not all bad.
And do you think that, in terms of the investigations that should take place, did you perhaps log a call with the police over the plaque's disappearance?
Yeah, you know what I find really sad? We have a cenotaph in town as well, where all the Durban men who died in World War I, their names were listed, and those plaques have also gone missing as well. I just think the scrap dealers, the people that buy the scrap, are really the ones to blame more than anything else.
You talk about
the law to buy. Sorry, yes.
No, carry on.
No, I just say it's against the law to buy a heritage plaque. So the scrap dealers shouldn't really be encouraging this sort of thing.
And very lastly, before we let you go, I really would like to perhaps get more from you. We've seen the recent renaming of, names in the Eastern Cape, like it's no longer called Port Elizabeth, it's now called Gqeberha. when it comes to perhaps the changes that are taking place and the memories of what happened during the apartheid era, and the significance of those figures, do you at all think that perhaps, it's not necessarily wiping out history, but we should be looking towards, figures and people that symbolize a way forward for the country and a way of healing? Or do you think that, it's important to retain that plaque and ensure that it's brought back to the place that it was taken from?
No, I agree with you 100%. I do believe we need to honor our leaders in the country. Of particular interest to me is the 1860 indentured Indians that arrived on our shore. I have huge respect for what the Indian community has done in Durban, and I don't think we focus enough on that. I make sure all my tours, we cover the 1860 indentured Indians arriving in Durban. They worked under terrible conditions, so I'm definitely in favor of supporting past leaders.
And what about those who would argue that, the British Empire was far worse than even what happened with the Nazis, and the representation of having Winston Churchill's plaque is one that is, reminds South Africans of a painful past? Is that something that doesn't concern you at all?
It does concern me, but for me, I think because of my interest in World War II, that's my connection really with Churchill and how he led Britain. He was a great leader. He was famous for his speeches and his literature. So that is the part I think that really interests me more than anything else, were his speeches and his literature. The political side, I'm not really, it's not one of my, not something I really want to get involved in.
Alison, would you consider yourself a patriotic South African? Would you consider yourself a patriotic South African?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what would that represent for you as a patriotic South African?
I just wish we could all live in peace and harmony. I always look for the good in people. We have the most wonderful rainbow nation. I love my country.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. Owner of Durban Walking Tours, Alison Chadwick, giving us a sense of the missing plaque, Winston Churchill missing plaque. That conversation wrapping up